Hello, Joe.
Hello, Sonia.
And
How you doing?
I'm doing good. And we have Felecia here, my good friend and colleague. Felecia
Yay!
Froe. Hello.
Guys.
Our first guest.
Our
Yay!
first guest.
Yay! Thank you, Felecia, and welcome.
So fun. Thanks.
Yes, we've been having a lot of fun. So we're really excited to have you join our fun conversation. We should do a little bit of an introduction for you. As our slide shows here, Felecia is a doctor. She's a urologist. And then she's also a real estate syndicator and investor. And that's how, in fact, I met Felecia, because we met at a syndication event together. And that was about 3-4 years ago. And yeah, the same place I met Joe, actually. And we've been good friends and colleagues since. So Felecia, welcome, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, as Sonia said, I am a physician. I finished my medical school and residency in Missouri, Columbia, Missouri, in '93. I hate to count back when people ask me how long I've been a doctor. I have to count those years. I've been a urologic surgeon since that time. Since in the past year, I've been part-time. I started investing in real estate investing in like 2004, 2005, after a woman that I was working with gave me Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Actually, she probably gave me that book in like 2002. Read that book, started understanding assets, liabilities, the SBI, all the quadrants. And ultimately, a friend of mine took me to a house and made me a deal I couldn't refuse by telling me that if I didn't buy it, she would buy it. And if I bought it, she'd help me. And if it didn't work, she'd buy it from me. So that was my first house. That was in Kansas City.
That's pretty compelling.
It was pretty compelling. It was pretty compelling. But like, all right, we're in. And at the time, so that was like whenever 2004, it was a VA assumption loan that I got for $500. So as scared as I was to walk into it, now I'm like $500. It's just like, of course I'm going to buy a house for $500.
No, what's a BA loan?
VA.
VA. Okay.
Yeah,
sorry.
VA. Okay. Yeah, assumption. They don't do that anymore, I don't think. So that was
so you got to step into somebody else's loan, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that wasn't 100 years ago, you guys. Just
no. Right? We know you're not that old. I know, isn't it amazing what just happened not too long ago? You're like, oh yeah, that sounds like ancient history.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. So we built really fast from there, and by 2008 we had like 18 properties, all in different stages of rehab. Our plan was buy and hold. We found out in 2008 we were not well capitalized and pretty much lost all those things. And then 2011 I jumped back in and bought single family houses, and then started learning about syndication, joined a syndication mentoring club, and syndicated my first deal about 2 years ago, which is a residential assisted living. Raised $250 for that, and another $50, so over $400,000 for that ultimately. And looked at a lot of deals, worked through some deals that didn't work out. Worked on a deal with Sonia on a multifamily. Over the time, I've kind of learned what I really like, and I like a lot of the deal I'm working on now is kind of my sweet spot. It's impact, where it's really going to make a lot of difference in a lot of people's lives. It's a food access project in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So that's where I am right now.
Well, what's a food access? Of course, I know your project, but do you want to explain a little bit for people who don't know what that is? Sure.
So the project we're doing involves real estate and business opportunity zone. But for the food access, we're doing commercial hydroponic grow houses. So hydroponics is growing food without soil. Food that actually is growing in the nutrients that it needs, so it grows faster and actually bigger. And then grocery stores also in food deserts. So Tulsa, Oklahoma is 5th in the country in food insecurity. Wow. So the city, there's a lot of public-private investing going on there to help get this changed. So it's interesting. Oklahoma's a pretty wealthy state with oil, but that high.
But no food.
But no
Exactly.
food.
No
Yeah.
food. Exactly.
Awesome. So when you say you syndicated, you invested in the real property in which this business, when the food is grown, and also the distribution of that food business, and you basically invested into it with a group of investors to have fractional ownership of both the business and real estate.
So we are raising funds for that right now.
Okay,
So
okay.
We have put the project together. The real estate of it is the greenhouses and the grocery stores, and then the businesses are the grocery business and the hydroponic grow. So
okay.
as we get investors, everybody will, have their equity share. Right now we have some debt investment, but we're getting our equity investors lined up now.
That's exciting.
Very
Awesome.
exciting.
Yeah.
Very nice.
All right. So I know you wrote some books also, because being a doctor and syndicating and investing and being a mom and all of that isn't occupying your time.
Not enough. Yeah.
Not enough.
I didn't even talk about being a mom, and on that time I had 2 children. My
Oh
daughter.
yeah, that little detail right there. We all keep forgetting. We're like, oh, we have fur babies, but oh yeah, kids. Yeah.
Yeah, I have 2 daughters, both now adult children living in Los Angeles, and they're doing very well.
Yes, I've met them both, and they're very, very lovely. Both of them young ladies.
Yeah.
Good job.
I know Takara, so you're one of your daughters, so she's great.
And she helped you publish one of these books, right? Or maybe more than one.
Yep, she did. She did. She actually helped me with all of them, but not officially.
Oh, okay.
But officially with one, and then the other 3 were with different groups, but she looked at every chapter I wrote and helped me get it edited so I didn't look like a complete idiot when I sent it off to somebody. Like,
you can never look like an idiot.
No.
yeah.
Awesome.
So we got those 2.
And then the
Wealth That Outlives You is my own book. The other 3 that you're going to see are compilation books. I'll have a chapter in each one of those books. And my spot again is working with women. So that's why my How to Create Wealth That Outlives You is really directed towards women. And then Life Defining Moments. I talked about how I got to where I am. And Cracking the Code to Success is a chapter talking about how do you talk to your doctor to get better results.
Oh, wow.
That's another passion of mine, is better communication.
Yeah, well, that's certainly very important.
That's very important. So that's great.
we can all get some help on that. Both of you wrote books. I need to write a book, but I don't know when that's going to happen for me.
You need to, Sonia. Yeah, because when I wrote my book, it changed the whole trajectory of my life, and that was 2016. So
yeah,
it changed the trajectory of my business too.
I do write books in a way, because I do write. It's just for my own self, though. So one of these days, maybe it will be publishable. But meantime, I'll keep this as motivation, as talking to you authors, and maybe one of these days I'll become that.
Starting with the chapter is easy. Then it makes it simple. You're like, oh, that went off pretty well.
Yeah. I do like writing a lot. It really helps me. I look forward to it. I find it somehow strangely motivates me to keep going. I don't know what it is, but there is.
Do you write anything in particular?
I've been writing about the things I like. I like motivational books. So books like I can't think of an example. I've been Never Split the Difference. It's a negotiation book. Start with the Why. It's a motivational book. And so I like incorporating what I learned from those books into my everyday life and behavior, and then sort of examining myself from a little bit from a distance, and then see how that unfolds into my day-to-day life and how I interpret it. So I like writing about that. It's a little bit of a project of mine that I like to do for some reason. So that's what I've been writing about lately.
Nice.
Good for you.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'd love to share that with you ladies one of these days.
Absolutely.
So speaking of life-defining moments, Felecia, how did you become? I mean, you spent bulk of your life becoming a doctor, just because I know the rigorous steps that you have to take to become an MD, and I know you were You had a chief of staff position with a Kaiser hospital. And what made you make the jump from that to becoming a real estate investor and syndicator?
So, I think it was, like I said, reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad and learning a different way to make money, and also learning how money actually can help you. So I've had a whole block about money. I'm realizing this is something from, like you're talking about writing. Writing has helped me to understand the block I've had about money and thinking that money was not good. And there was a really very deep thing that money, if you want money, then there's something wrong with you.
Wow.
Over the years, and actually reading that book helped a lot to really understand money better. And I don't know what it was about that book, because it doesn't really talk about this, of how money actually helps and how if you don't have it, you really are stuck. And then learning all the things, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which is a whole nother triangle talking about if you don't have your basic needs met, you can't really get anywhere. And the way we meet our basic needs is having the money to feed ourselves, house ourselves. So anyway, once you have the money you need to do your basic, you can reach further, and ultimately you're going to help society when you have enough to be able to open yourself to that kind of thing. Does that make sense? So it was all of that work that I've done with myself, for myself, that has helped me get to real estate syndicating. And the reason I did real estate was when I started understanding an asset, it seemed like something that made sense to me, and it wasn't hard for me to understand that compared to starting a big business, a different kind of business, let's put it that way. Since then, I am starting other businesses, but the real estate investing seemed to be the way to go for me when I first started doing things. Does that make sense?
Well, that's so interesting that you had that block with money. And I think I know what you mean. I have run into people from time to time about, even though they clearly, I mean, let's face it, money's necessary and we like things money can get us, but I don't know if it's, for some people, it might be a religious reason, but you're taught to live life without being greedy, I guess is sort of the word, but to not think about money or not to pursue money. I've always thought that was pretty strange, because I didn't grow up like that, but clearly you did. And was your thing a religious thing, you think?
I don't really know. I don't think so. We weren't particularly religious. Do you remember going to church? But we're not particularly religious. I think it's little things, just little things people say about money that get into you. From rich people are greedy, or not even saying rich people are greedy, but that guy who has all that money did this to me. Those kind of things just kind of subtly influence the way you think about things. And since all that, I've met a lot of people with money who do a lot of good things for a lot of people. So it's like, okay, I want to be that person, not the one who's makes a lot of money and keeps it to themselves and cheats people and does that. I actually think that's the minority of people with money, even though I run into a lot of people who think the majority of people with money work that way. That's not what I've seen.
I agree. I mean, with the difficulties that come about in society, there's always people who step up, like Bill Gates. I mean, he has a huge philanthropic fund that he's deploying in all sorts of ways and in such a magnitude. So I agree with you. And I know Joe always talks about using real estate investment so that she could participate more in philanthropic activities that she liked to pursue.
I do, but Felecia, I kind of had that same, and not that it was really instilled in me growing up. I don't know where along the line I kind of got that, but even now I'll pick up on it when people talk about, oh, they got money, just in a negative tone. I'm like, no. Watch what they're doing with it.
Yeah.
Just because you might be jealous that they have it, they've worked hard to get it.
Right.
And just watch what they've done with it. But just anymore now, the last probably 10, 15 years, because I started investing about the same time you did. And ever since then, I just listen to people and I'm like, oh, it just rubs me the wrong way.
It's sometimes just a tone, right? Just a tone.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's
not even their words, it's their tone that makes it negative to have money or work for money, or the reason your motivation for doing this thing is money. people do things for a lot of reasons. And
Yeah.
That's right.
That's so weird too. I mean, if what's wrong with wanting money so that you could have things you want or for your family, as long as you're not cheating people, hurting other people, what, people, I guess people have judgments about that, but I don't understand that.
I think the thing is people stop at you want money and not the what does money do for you.
Right. Yep.
I really think it's that, if you have a lot of money in the bank, you're just a bad person because you're not helping anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I think the same way. I think that's what people think from, like, when I hear people talk, it's just like I said, how do you even know this person? Exactly. You don't even know
That's
them.
amazing.
You don't know what they're doing, with it.
Yeah.
And it just
That's
drives me
crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, speaking of, our mission is to energize and challenge women to push their status quo. And I know that your status quo was to walk the professional route of being a doctor. And I mean, you clearly achieved so much in that regard. And you left all of that behind for the most part. I know you still practice part-time, but
yeah,
that was a huge jump for you. And how did you overcome that status quo?
So actually, you talked about me being chief. I was chief of the urology department at Kaiser, and stepping down from that was hard thing for me. I remember saying to this woman who was talking to me about it, I said, I just never quit anything. And she's, well, you have to stop thinking about it as quitting. You think about it as you're going to your next thing. You've done everything you can do here. So now it's time to let somebody else take the wheel and you go to your next thing. And it was that mindset and the thought that just imagine what you being able to say, I don't want this anymore, will say to somebody else who looks at something they have and thinking, I don't really want this, but I can't let it go, because it gives people when each one of us does something that's beneficial for ourselves, it shows other people the ability. I mean, it shows that this can happen. So be an example. And I guess that was actually my big thing, is like, I can be an example for somebody to know that you can quit something that seems like it's your everything and go to the next thing, and life goes on.
Absolutely. I mean, you make being a doctor sound like it was really nothing. And obviously that took a monumental amount of energy and challenge and dedication in your life. But I do know you. I mean, having been your friend, I know how difficult that process was, and it's definitely understandable. But why did you feel you had to leave that part of your life and then onto something else?
So I haven't completely left. I'm still part-time urologist.
Yes.
It's become to me. So medicine has become to me, that's hard to describe, where it's not what I want to be in medicine. Let's put it that way. So it's very much a machine. So my first desire to leave medicine, the first thing that came to me was, I need to have a company where I can help people understand, and this came to me a long time ago, how to work through a healthcare system. Because the more I learned about being in medicine, the more I've been in medicine, the more it's a business. You have in every other business, as your overhead goes up, you can pass those costs along to your customers, right? In medicine, you don't have that. Your expenses go up. You can't pass along to your customer because insurance limits what you can charge your customer or your patient. And the only way you can make that up is to see more patients. So now we've become this,
like a machine that's just churning out.
Exactly. What's the conveyor belt of patients? It feels like a conveyor belt, and you don't have time to get to know somebody. Everything's an algorithm, or this. If the person comes in and says they have this, then you do this, and you do this, and the art of medicine is being lost to me. So that's where I started feeling like I'm complicit in this. The longer I stay here, the more I'm implicitly agreeing with the system, and I don't want to be here. I like having a relationship with somebody. I like understanding what their problem is. I like understanding their life better so that we can get to a bottom line solution for them. So
that's amazing.
My company, 18 Seconds for Health, is to do that, help people talk better with their doctor. It's 18 seconds because studies have shown that in 18 seconds, your doctor will interrupt you. So my goal is that 18 seconds is key and important, and the way the doctor needs to hear it so that you can talk and get your whole story out. So that's my
Wow.
other business outside of
Yeah.
real estate syndication.
Well, we'll
Oh, wow.
definitely have to learn about that. So,
Mhm.
Joe, I mean, both of you have become such a big, huge challenge. And I know this is something I've always wondered about Joe too, with the tragedy that you had to endure. I mean, both of you could have just kind of cruised. Not, I mean, maybe cruising isn't the right word, because obviously you were not satisfied with what you had. And Joe, you had a huge trauma that you had to somehow embrace and live through. What gave you guys the motivation to even further challenge yourself despite the difficulties? It's difficult to live through whatever you're facing then, but then both of you on top of it added something else. You became a counsel person, and then Felecia, you try to buy books and teach patients and how to talk to doctors and syndicate real estate investments. What gave you that motivation to go further?
Do you want to go
Well,
first, Joe?
yeah, go ahead, Felecia. You're our guest.
For me, I remember thinking that after I was out of my residency, and it was about 3 years out, I started having this feeling that there's something more. There's something more. And that's been there for a long time. And I had been looking for it for a long time. And when I started working more with women and working more in real estate and talking to women about investing and improving and passive income, all the different things that we talked to women about, passive income, building wealth, being responsible, this entire personal responsibility, just doing that it feels right to me. And I guess I'm just like how it feels. It feels like what I'm supposed to do. And just like medicine, when I went into medicine, it was what I was supposed to do. And then it's like, okay, now I'm done this. Now it's time for me to do something else, which is very, very difficult, because everybody in medicine is like, well, once you're in medicine, you're in medicine. That's what you do.
Of course, yeah. The expectation is difficult to negate.
It is. That's why I've been doing it for 26 years.
Yeah. but during that time, I mean, at least after you felt like you were not really seeing patients the way you wanted to, it sounds like you felt like you were in somebody else's skin. Like it's not where you're supposed to be, and you need to be somebody else. Okay.
Start looking, because it's uncomfortable to not be in your right skin.
Right. Yes.
Amen. Yeah.
How about you, Joe? I mean, how did you overcome your challenge, and how did you keep adding on to your life? You went and got a master's degree, you became a councilwoman. What gave you that courage?
Well, for Felecia, and she might not know, when I lost my husband in 2010 and I was running my home-based business, because I was a virtual assistant then, I had that same feeling that Felecia, because I'd had it for a long time. I knew there's something more that I was supposed to be doing with my life. And I knew that inside me, there's just more. And I was almost getting antsy, like I needed to do something more. But I also knew that a lot of things just take time, even though I want to do everything all at once, but just take time. So when I decided to go back and get my master's degree 6 months after my husband passed, I didn't know anything about city council. It was like the next month or two that somebody came and said, hey, you need to run for city council. I'm like, I don't even know. I'm not running for city council. I don't hardly know anything about it. So I went to a few meetings. I'm like, oh, I can do that. So I jumped in, and little did I know at that time how much value that was going to bring to my real estate investing business, because of the economics and how cities run, and meeting people and city council members from other areas to also bring together ideas. And so I did that for 8 years. And like I said before, I ended my tenure as a vice president on council. But then when I decided to go out and start real estate investing again in 2012, I really took, because I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki probably around 2002, 2003, started investing in 2004, but then my husband got sick and we had to sell and we lost, and then that was just a whole nother story. So I decided to jump back in 2012, but like I told Sonia before, I kind of tiptoe in. I'm going to try this investment. I'm going to try that investment. And they worked out beautifully. Every investment I've done since then has worked out beautifully. I do it by myself. I don't have anybody else investing with me. And I don't know. maybe that's the key. I don't know what it is, but
Well, that's amazing.
yeah, I just know that I wanted something more, and I knew
Well,
that there
yeah.
was more out there. And I've been coaching women for years how to start businesses, but I
Mm,
just knew that that wasn't quite the right angle I wanted. And
mm,
now with real estate investing, that's the angle that I want. So
mm.
it all
Okay.
has kind of coming in together.
How did
Well,
you get past the fear of it, of doing something different?
That, you know what, that was the biggest thing because I think I told Sonia, but my massage therapist said, you really need to start journaling. You really, because she does energy work. And I'm like, I don't know anything about this. Seriously, I didn't know anything about energy work. I didn't know anything about any of that kind of stuff. And she said, because when my husband was sick, I also had a lot of physical ailments because of all the stress I was under. And I said, I just want a
mhm,
pill to make me feel better. And she said, there is no pill to make you feel
mm,
better. You
mhm.
have to work this out yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
Glad
So
you
my
asked her.
massage therapist told me to start writing, and I went on YouTube to figure out how to meditate.
Ah,
Because I didn't know how to meditate, and then it was just writing my fears down, and I just took one property at a time. It wasn't. I didn't do a bunch of them all at once. I did one year, one the next year, but then I got the bug again, and then I just went into more and more, and now I'm looking into 3 or 4 more properties, and it's just, but it's always just that one step forward.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I
that's
think
how I
that's something we have in common is that we get that urge, right?
yeah,
We
yeah.
and I'm sure everybody feels it too, but it's hard to jump on it. But the urge gets really strong at times where, for Felicia's case, she just didn't feel like she was in the right skin and she had to move on to something else. And you had to kind of overcome whatever you had to overcome. And
Yeah.
sometimes for me, I just get downright bored and I have to do
Yeah.
something else.
It
So
is. That is the
Yeah.
kind of it's the way it feels like is bored.
Yes.
And
yeah,
then I was scared, like, why am I bored? Oh my gosh. It's like,
yeah,
I call myself, I get too comfortable. It's like, this is
Yeah.
just too,
yeah,
I
yeah,
understand how to do this too easily now. I need to do something different.
Yeah. Step
yeah.
outside of our comfort zone a little bit.
Yeah, and then
Exactly.
it could go the opposite direction too. I think you could either get bored if things are fine, hunky dory, or you're sometimes paralyzed by fear and anxiety, and then you have to make a change somehow.
Yeah.
And I know at those are the times that's most difficult to make a change and try something. But I think it's also the pain of being under constant fear and anxiety that sometimes help us to make that leap into something else.
Yep. Yep. And I think if more people realized a lot of their physical symptoms, like you were having, Joe, from the stress that you're under, even if the stress is your own made stress from not living the life you're supposed to live, people want a pill for that. They want a pill for that. And it's like, if your doctor or health person could say, like your massage therapist said, journal, work this out. There's not a pill for this. Our instant gratification society is feeding pharmaceutical companies, and that's a whole nother conversation, but
Yeah, it is.
there's
Yeah.
a pill for everything.
I could sense your restraint.
I know I could too.
Yeah.
But we all, a lot of times when I get anxious, I know that it's time for me to make a change.
Yeah.
It's time that something bigger is coming and it's time for me to make a change. And so that's when I start looking at stepping outside my comfort zone and thinking that I need more. So
yeah. Well, I think it's really important. Like you said, you went and just you met people. When you're ready for it, you start hearing things. You heard it from your massage therapist, and she said you should journal, and somebody could have just dismissed it, but you did, and you wrote a book. And same with Felecia. I mean, everyone's kind of done what they needed to do to follow the path here. And I think that's one thing that, small steps, right?
Yep.
Small steps. It could be just one property, or it could be just going out to a meeting, or it could be going to a conference or something, but it's just something just to stir up something.
Yep.
And kind of get things going.
Stay open to hear what that thing is.
Right.
Where
Keep your
you're
mind
supposed to
open.
be.
Just don't put sand.
And I also say don't, you can be an analysis
Oh, true.
paralysis too. And that there for a while. I was going to so many seminars that I wasn't actually taking any steps.
Mm.
Like I spent like 2 years going to seminars. I'm like, okay, seriously, back it off, Buttercup.
Yeah.
You need to just start taking action.
Well,
Yeah, you got to put into action for sure.
Yeah.
I did my first syndication and I was scared. And Sonia said, just do it. Just stop thinking about it and do it. And I just said, okay. Then I did.
And that's that's the only thing I haven't done yet is a syndication. Well, I haven't done a flip either, but so that's my next goal is to do a syndication. So
There you go.
I mean, I want to clarify what I say when I said do it. I was addressing the analysis paralysis situation. So
Yes.
I don't want everybody to just jump into whatever. I mean,
No.
it's a risky endeavor investing in real estate. So you have to do your homework, obviously.
yeah.
Yes.
For everybody out there. But I know
And,
you had done your homework, Felecia.
well, yes, just do it means figure it out and then make it happen.
Thank
Stop
you.
thinking
That's
about
a
it
much
so
better way to say it.
Stop thinking about it so much. You know enough. Go.
Yeah. That's
And,
right.
you know, I get into that too. I get so overwhelmed and I'm just thinking. And that's why we have this forum, because I think when you talk to some other people, you get a different perspective. And then, you know, it's kind of a little bit like journaling too, in the sense that you can see what you're saying or thinking, and then you get a better objective view about your thoughts. So I think it's important to bounce things off people, have conversations, and that's why this kind of a support network is very important.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we need it for sure.
So are you going to write any more books, Felecia? What's your next plan, and what's your next
You know, I
goal?
didn't plan to write any book, and then all of a sudden, I
And then
have
you got 4.
there may be another one, a compilation book we're working on for women physicians to write for younger women physicians to help them deal with some of the things that we dealt with coming through. So that's on the back burner for right now.
Sure.
So where do people find your books? Is it on Amazon?
They are all on Amazon. Yes, they are.
Okay, awesome.
And I have a free ebook, seven steps to achieving real wealth for women, that you can find on takebackcontrol.co. Takebackcontrol.co. Yep.
Awesome. And you can get Joe's book on Amazon too.
Yep. On Amazon, on my website, joehosman.com.
Awesome.
Go ahead. I'll say one more thing about taking your steps. One of my mentors in medicine, when I had a complicated patient and I was like trying to figure out the whole plan, he said, you don't have to know the end to take the first step. Yeah. And that was when I was in medicine, and it just translates to everything else. It's like, then what? Then it's like, just take the first step, and the rest, just the next step shows, the next step shows, the next step shows. It just translated for me perfectly.
I love that
makes
analogy.
A lot of sense. Yeah. There's a Korean proverb. I love proverbs that says starting something. I can't translate it directly, but starting something is 50% of the achievements already. So it's kind of similar genre kind of thing.
Nice.
So I think starting could just be asking your first question to us so we can answer the next question, right, Joe? And
that's right. Just, email us and we'll put our contact information here at the end. But yeah, definitely email us. If you know our phone numbers, you can text us too, because we love to answer questions. It's so much fun.
And if you have a particular question for Dr. Froe, we'll be sure to get her to answer you as well.
Absolutely.
And Dr. Froe, I'm so thankful that you came on. You were our first guest, and this has worked out beautifully. Thank you for all you do for medicine, first of all, then also for real estate and helping women. Helping women really get more involved in the real estate, because that's our passion, is energizing women to challenge that status quo and getting that financial freedom, that financial success, because you're already you step back now. You still do part-time medicine, but you're stepping into that full role of real estate investing. So thank you for all you do for all of us.
Yep. Yeah. Thank you. And thanks for being a good friend. We always enjoy talking with you.
Absolutely. Yep.
And I'm so glad, because I've met both of you through the Real Estate Guys radio, the syndication events. So it's really been such a great connection and great, it's my tribe, and so now you guys are my tribe, and it's just awesome.
Yep. And let's keep growing. Yes,
For all
a
the people out
connection is
there
everything.
thinking they have to do it by themselves. You don't do anything by yourself.
It's the power of networking and the power of connections. It is
Yep.
powerful.
So much
Yeah,
more.
especially for us women. I mean, we need food, we need shelter, and we need girlfriends.
Yeah.
All right. So we're here for you, and it's
absolutely.
been really fun talking to you gals as usual.
Thank you, Sonia. Thanks for, so glad we put this together, and it's just so much fun being able to bring this great content to the women. And on Facebook, remember we're a Facebook group, and we also have a business page, but both of them are called Women Creating Wealth Together. So Facebook group and business page, Women Creating Wealth Together. So come join us.
I will. I'll be there for sure.
Yay.
All right. Well, thank you, ladies, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Take care.
Bye,
Okay.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.